Okay. Okay.
All right, here we go. Welcome, Miss Chasity Lambert, and I'll let you introduce yourself for sure. This is Get Out of the Boat, and I always start with our scripture. So our scripture today is coming from Psalms 46, and it is verse 5. God is within her. She will not fall. God will help her at break of day. That's one of the scriptures that I meditate on when I am feeling like life is being heavy-handed with the extra stuff. So I'm a big proponent of things don't just happen. Like there are a lot of things that we're experiencing that are the consequences of our actions, whether they are something we put in motion, 2 or 3 years ago or 2 or 3 months ago. But I mean, other than like death and illness, those are things that happen to you, right? So I thought of you because first you can introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about you, but I thought of you because I remember you being quite inspirational for me when we had kind of a moment, a sister moment, when we started in Project Diversity. And oh my gosh, how long has that been?
I don't know. We were like cycle 21, cycle 22.
We were 22, deuce, remember?
Yeah, and it's been a great, I was still in Ohio at the time. So I've been in LA for 4 years. So here, at least 7 years, 7 years
Maybe,
ago,
I want to say 2013. That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, 7, 8 years ago. Yeah. You're right.
Because you moved.
Yeah, because I moved in 2016 back to LA.
So we were definitely young and flawless. Right.
Yes, darling.
And so now we approaching this, we're in our 40s. That's what we'll give our audience. We're in our 40s. And yes. Tell us a little bit about, because you were not from Ohio either. You came from Brooklyn. You were someplace else. Like you've been everywhere.
No. Well, no.
You are from Ohio, Columbus, Ohio, but you bop around.
Yeah.
What it is.
So, I'm a Midwest girl. I like to say, definitely from Columbus, Ohio. Moved to Brooklyn, New York for school. Went to NYU. And then I went home, back to Ohio, then LA for 2 years, and then back home and back to LA. Now I'm in Charlotte. So, I don't know. I wanted to experience life. So, I bopped around a little bit, danced, danced in New York. Oh, that was so great. I was flying and dancing, darling. Right? So I danced with a dance company in Columbus. So yeah, by trade, I'm a licensed clinical social worker. I'm working in schools now. I'm doing psychotherapist, working with our little young folks, our little kiddos in the school system. So, I've been doing mental health, community mental health, sex abuse for, child. This is all the work I've ever known. Like I've been in the field for 24 years.
Wow, Chaz, that's forever.
Right. And I've been a social worker. Social worker, graduated 2003. So I've been a social worker for 18 years.
So, one of the things that I remember when I thought about interviewing you or having this conversation with you for this podcast, one of the things that I remember from forever ago in Columbus.
Okay.
I don't even think anybody even remembers that I lived in Columbus. I'll black that out. But
I do. We used to hang.
I know we did. You said that you practice is it Buddhism? How do you say it? Buddhism.
Yeah.
You still do that?
Yeah.
You still meditate and all of that kind of stuff?
Buddhism, you have to be so disciplined. Like I do my Sancho, and like you do your prayer in the morning, you do your prayer at night. And it was easy when I was in LA because I could go to the Friendship Center, I could do all of that. And but there's no Buddhist center here in Charlotte. So you got to do it yourself, I'm a work in progress with my discipline and my Buddhist practice. Like I do my Sancho in the morning, I do it at night, I give thanks, but I've been trying to get better for years. And it's just like, just to sit down and just like do your chant, your mantra or, your meditation, Nam Yo Ho Renge Kyo. And I'm just like, I can't quiet my mind, but you know, if I push through to the other side, I will be fine. But just sitting there, I feel like I should always be, you know, doing something or being busy, you know, so I can feel like I'm contributing or productive. But yeah, I still practice some a little bit. Yeah.
So now that's twofold for me.
Okay.
Explain for us your connection when you are in your practice, but also we'll talk about this need to feel busy and how we quiet our minds.
Girl.
So talk about the connection, because I'll share with you that I rededicated my life to Christ last year.
Yay!
Yes, and I
Congrats.
am very active in my church, and I'm baby stepping my way in faith. There are questions that I have, you know, like my uncle passed, and I would lie to you if I didn't tell you that I questioned him. You know, what was that for? He was a good person, you know. And I'm starting to be in this practice of, we think death is like a punishment, and it's really like we're all gonna die. We all are. So because you don't know when, because you don't know how, like, instead of looking at it like, oh, death is a punishment, how about it's the natural progression of life? And how do we start to honor people, you know, now that they're past? But the reality is, how do we live better so that when we die, it's not so, I mean, it is going to be devastating because the people left here are going to miss you, but you know what I mean? Like, I don't want my daughter to feel like death is a noose, you know, or like we just hold our breath waiting to die. You have the rest of your life for however long that is. But anyway, so I'm back in my faith. I'm doing my meditations and my scriptures and my devotion. But you said you do your chants, and like talk about that connection, what that means for you, because part of this podcast too is it's not just about your version of what you say God is. The first lady I interviewed was a Catholic, and I'm like, you know, Catholics think they the only people going to heaven, right? Like, so speak about your connection and why your chants matter to you, how that makes you feel, just in general, because it grounds you. I know it because I remember you telling me before. It keeps you centered.
It does. And that's what I always go back to. Like when I find myself teetering or whatever, like I try to go back to that. But as of recent, I haven't so much. And maybe I need to, because it's been like a little teeter-tot, you know what I mean? Like, oh, wait a minute, maybe like, I feel like I have everything I need right within me and I'm just not utilizing it. So, you know, but to start with the answer to your question, I was raised full gospel Baptist, like straight up Southern Baptist, you know, speaking in tongues and everything. And I, for myself, like you said, you were questioning, like I was questioning, and I was just like, yo, I need something else. And I wanted more of a spirituality and like a connection. And I knew what I needed was inside of me. And so when I converted to Buddhism, Buddhism is considered a religion, but it's also a way of life.
Yes.
It's a philosophical way of life. How do you live your absolute, you know, happiness, your absolute truth? Not saying that you're not going to have any hardships, but you will. But then how do you continue to like push forward, push through, and still be able to maintain, you know, your happiness and things like that? So my cousin introduced me to Buddhism like years ago, maybe in 2008, but making that transition from full gospel Baptist,
right.
There was no more praise and worship. You know what I mean? I was at the Buddhist center like y'all gonna sing? Like, what are we doing? You know, like where's they sing, but it wasn't like singing. You know what I mean? There was like like you in the church, like, wait a minute, hold on, you know. So it was none of that, like no praise and worship or anything like that. But what I did find was I really respected and I really enjoy the chanting. Like when you just sit and when you have the ability to quiet your mind, and when you're in a room with like hundreds of people and that vibration of Nam Myoho Renge Kyo, and you guys are in unison, you are in line with the earth and the vibrations of earth, and everybody everywhere is chanting that at the same time, like that like penetrated my soul. And I was like, okay, all right. This I can deal with this. I can and I can work with this. And it also felt very real to me. like real life. I can put any situation to one of our Buddhist practices or like to one of our book, you know, to the book. Our book is called like the Lotus Sutra, but then there's also a lot of readings to like beginning Buddhism and things like that. I can always go back and find something. Like if I feel like I'm lost, I can read one of the books from our, what we call like our version of our pastor would be like Daishaku Ikeda. Read one of his books, the Buddhism scriptures or the Buddhism affirmations and things like that. I can always find something in real time that I can relate to currently with like current, you know, verbiage and things like that. So it really means a lot to me. I myself stand in my own way. Like Buddhism is always there. Like I have my boots on, I have my scroll of enlightenment, I have my sound bell. Like I have everything. I just do my 3 chants and I'm out. Yeah. You know, so like I have everything I need. It's just me standing in the way of what I know that I need to do with my practice. Because when you open it, it's there. And when I set my determinations, Stephanie, when I did that back in, oh my goodness, when I was really, really focused on Buddhism, like maybe 2016, 2018, something like that. I was like, be careful what you pray for, because you just might get it. And because it's like, you know, be careful what you put out into the universe, because the universe is listening. Yeah. Be that good, bad, or indifferent, the universe is listening. You will get it. So be careful what you ask for, because you just might get it. And I got everything that I had asked for, so much so that I was just, I got scared. Yes. And I was like, you know what? This is a little bit overwhelming, because like everything I had asked for, job, title, salary, you know, prestige within the title, you know, I was like, you know, the woman like doing interviews, like I have an interview with Chasity Lambert this morning. Yes, come, let's walk and talk. Like I was that
right, you were the it girl.
I was like right. I was a clinical program manager. I was doing my thing. I was making buku dollars as a single person in LA. Good child, bye. And then I couldn't handle it. So, you know, it was very, very humbling, because it also taught me what I really wanted to do. So like I said, like when I'm in it, I am in it, and I am focused, and I am determined. I set my determinations, and it does mean a lot to me. And I feel bad that I'm not as consistent as I would like to be. But Buddhism for me is just, you know, what, you know, your God is for you. It's it exists within me. I don't have to seek anything outside of it. Everything I need is in me, within me. I have everything I need. I can see the universe. I can be in tune with the universe by chanting, and that just means that's that connection for me. Like
And it keeps you grounded, and it keeps you centered. So the other thing you said was, because we're all human, and like I get up at 5:30 in the morning so that I can do my devotion and make breakfast, all of this before I get, you know, my daughter up ready for school and that kind of thing. And those mornings that I'm doing my devotion, but I'm not feeling it, I'm not invested, right? So then if I can't read it, then I try to do like audio. But I find, like you said, there's some times that I'm doing it, and I'm just doing it out of habit more so than me investing right in it, because I can't quiet my mind to listen. So what is it about us? And a lot of it I attribute to being Black women, because we always got a million balls in the air, 1,000 things to do, a to-do list, you know. And I have my little one, so I got her to-do list and my to-do list, and we got to go to the doctor and all of this, you know, this other kind of stuff. But talk to us about the need to be busy. Why do we feel like we can't just be still? Why can't we be home and be quiet and, you know, take 15 minutes? I don't know if that's a empowered Black woman thing and we feel like we always got to be on the go, or if that's just, honestly, my thought just now is, I don't know if that's our reaction to trauma. We feel like we have to be overwhelmed, or we have to keep this schedule with all of this stuff on it, so we don't have the time to sit and deal with something that has bothered us. That's really what just hit me.
And I think to add, I mean, I agree, but also to add to what you're saying is, I think that staying busy, in a sense, makes us feel worthy. Because for so long and so much of a time, like our humanness is built on what we can contribute to society, or, you know, we have to make people see our humanity. So we got to stay busy. We got to contribute. And that's the whole thing with like, oh, you guys got, work hard, and you'll get A, B, and C. But what I learned with like the USC scandal and COVID, everybody ain't working hard, baby. That was a story that they told us as like Black people, Black women, Black men, Black
I feel like we're working much harder, right? And we barely got our head above water working harder. And these people that's not doing nothing. That's like, we might all be in the same storm in a different size boat, right? Like some of y'all got a yacht and I got my little canoe with one oar.
Like, I got a kayak.
I'm saying. And no glasses and no rain hat, like nothing.
Right? I don't have a life jacket or anything. So, and I think that we've been bred or we've been conditioned to believe that our worth is somehow predicated on what we can contribute. And that's why we always feel like we got to stay busy. And if we don't stay busy, we don't feel like we are contributing. And there's a whole adage of Black people are lazy. So we're always trying not to be lazy or not feed into that preconceived notion that people have of Black folks. Right. And truth be told, we need a break. We need to sit down and have several seats. When I turned 40, okay, of course 2 years ago, but when I made the crossover into 40, last year, things started to unravel for me in a sense of like an onion, like the peel started, like all the layers started coming back, and I'm like trying to figure out who I am. You know what I mean? And as Black women, we're bred to be strong. We're supposed to take on everything. And I have a love-hate relationship with that word, with that phrase, strong Black woman. Are we strong? Absolutely. But
do we always want to be?
No,
like,
exactly.
I want to be vulnerable. I want to have somebody take care of me sometimes.
Right. Sometimes that term is used in a dismissive factor, and it doesn't allow you to see our vulnerability. It doesn't allow you to see our humanness. It doesn't allow us to be vulnerable, because if we're like, oh, why are you so mad? Why are you so angry? So we get judged on that. So you need to be more vulnerable. Then we get vulnerable. But if we're passionate, we're oh, why are you so, like your passion is mistaken for. So there's always some sort of policing of our hair, our bodies, our minds, our attitudes. It's always some sort of, we're not good enough. Like somebody's always finding something wrong with the way that we are. And we are placed on we are judged more critically than anyone.
Because we're judged by everybody. We're judged by white people. We're judged by Black people, right? And then you get to a certain age and you ain't got no husband, and you be in church and you judge for that. Like
no husband, no kids, because a lot of your identity is based on, as a woman, you know what I mean? A lot of your identity, you're told that your identity is based on being able to have kids and being married and stuff. I'm the complete opposite of that.
And like you said, you grew up Baptist. That's one of the things that was ingrained in us in church. Like no one took you aside and said specifically that your job was to be a wife and a mother. But I'd be darned if it wasn't in the fine print somewhere. Like going to school was great, but you were supposed to go to school to find a husband, right? Like,
right, you get to get your MRS.
And so heaven forbid, like I'm actually trying to use my brain and move forward and do something with myself. But
right. One thing my grandmother, like being a fool, because what you're saying is absolute truth. But one thing that my grandmother did when she was raising my sister and me that I so appreciate to this day, there were no gender type roles. I took out trash, I washed dishes, I washed clothes. I did all that. My grandpa taught me how to change the oil and change the flat. I did all of that. But then a lot of Black families or Black parents, they parent out of fear and survival.
I agree.
And so I did not, now that I'm older, I'm wondering, because I never, like, what did my grandmother, my grandparents know that I didn't know? Like, what were they preparing me for? Were they preparing me for a life of, I don't know if you're going to get married. I don't know what life has for you. I don't know. So they prepared me for everything, right? Made me extremely independent. But then what I don't understand sometimes is we are oftentimes blamed and ridiculed for our independence. But what you need to understand is we're bred this way because we don't know. My grandparents didn't know what life had in store for me. So I had to be prepared to either be alone or to be able to do things and to be able to exist and be able to be autonomous and have my, you know what I mean? Like be independent. Or if I got married, I still needed to know what my finances were. And I still need to know all of that. They prepared me even kill. Being single or with someone else. So
whatever happens, you're gonna be good.
Right. And then we turn, then people turn around and use that against us or blame us for our independence or make it seem sort of like a badge of honor, but also like a badge of blame or a badge of like we're like a sacrificial type lamb,
You can't win either way. Cause like it ain't no secret to folks on my podcast that I was married and I'm divorced. So you can't win either way because I have a daughter and my goal for her is not to not get married or have kids if that's what life has for you. But I want you to be brave and courageous and know how to balance a checkbook, right? Like you said, know how to change the oil. I need you to take care of you. And I'm not raising you to believe that you have to rely on somebody else for anything, right?
Right.
And so, like, I've heard this now too. Somebody said, well, the life that you're providing for her, no man is going to be able to keep up with that. And I'm like, because you keep saying it like the only thing I can raise my daughter to be is a wife. And I'm not saying a wife isn't a great thing, but like you said, what if she doesn't get married? Like, stop.
What if she doesn't want to get married?
What if she doesn't? What if she doesn't want to have kids? Like, so stop saying that the only value that a woman has or can have is to be a wife or a mother,
and to bear someone's kids.
It's her life right now. She want to be a singing, cooking doctor. Do it, sis. Right? Like I'm all of like whatever you imagine for yourself, you can be. I'm not gonna tell her what she can't be. But it's a strange space for us, and especially when COVID happened, because then everybody everybody got sat down, and Black women run the world while you playing. So like now we all at home, right? And it's like you kind of watch stuff. I don't know, like. I felt like in the past 2 years, instead of last year, I did a better job of just taking a step back and kind of allowing creative things to flow. Like I painted, I wrote a book, but then like this year, I'm like, when are we done with it? Like I'm ready to travel again. I miss interacting with like other like-minded people. And I'm tired of this technology that says we can do everything virtually. And it's not the same, but I still
and we're not built for it. We're not built for this.
We're social beings. I want to hug you. I want to put my head on your shoulder. I'm tired of texting. I'm sick of all of that. But I still feel, and I've been told this by multiple people too. I still feel the need to be busy, like you said, to feel like I have accomplished something. And I find myself, like you said, the stuff you prayed for, you were receiving. So I find myself in a position of the things that I've prayed for are starting to come to pass. And is this what I want now? Like, did I ask for too much? Can I really do all that I said I can do? Right? Or like, have several seats. Do you just need to sit down for 3 months, right? And not do nothing? Like, it's such a strange place, because if I sit down for 3 months, the world gonna look at me funny. And I feel that. Just me saying it, because I know people are looking, what's she gonna do now? Well, I know people are. And then,
but
why do we care, Chaz? Because that's what I'm gonna say. Why do I care?
But the other thing is this. Sometimes the other end of that is sometimes ain't nobody painting that picture but us.
True.
Sometimes.
I don't have to be Superwoman, neither do you.
No. And like I said, I believe in Black Girl Magic. I believe in strong Black women. I believe in all of that. Absolutely 100%. But I also believe in seeing the humanity in Black women. And if we do show emotions, first of all, I want people to be able to extend their emotional vocabulary. Okay. And if someone is being emotional or crying or angry, whatever it may be, don't call them crazy, please and thank you.
Yeah. Enough.
We get blamed for not being emotional, but then we are emotional. She's so good, child. That girl's emotional as I don't know what. Or, our passion is mistaken for something else. So sometimes I just want Black women to be able to exist in our current space, whichever way that may
without judgment, right?
Without judgment,
without
and
being
most judgment from
to
ourselves.
the last Black person or to the next. Like, just let me be me.
Right. And also limit the judgment. Like when I'm working with clients or when I'm doing whatever I'm involved in, I say grant yourself some peace and kindness. Because sometimes we are the worst critics. Sometimes I don't give a daggone what nobody else says, because you ain't got nothing on how I talk to myself. But we got to be mindful of the things that we tell ourselves, because if you're looking in the mirror every day and you're like, oh, I'm so fat, I'm so ugly, I'm so da 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 da, guess what you're gonna start to see? Exactly, it's gonna be like the mirror reflecting self. You're gonna start manifesting the ugly that you see in yourself. Like the self-reflecting mirror. It's like, be very, very careful with how you treat yourself, the words you use with yourself. Like you got to be cool. You got to be easy with that. It's, you know what I mean? So, and not blaming ourselves so much. If I'm not busy, I got to learn how to be okay with not being busy.
Yeah. You're
and
right.
Just relax.
Take life in waves, because when the wave comes and you have to be busy, right? And you got to jump over that wave and get everything done. But then when it's calm waters, just sit and be calm and know how to sit and meditate and have your minute for yourself. So tell us a little bit about the dance thing. First, you've been a dancer for forever, but you popped up with the bikini and you've been working out and you've been dancing and the whole nine. And I felt this whole this is me and I'm worthy vibe from you. And it's when do we get to accept and decide that we're worthy, regardless of what the world tells us? And sometimes, and in some instances, you got family that's talking bad about you. You feel like a transplant almost. You feel like you don't fit in any of your scenarios, but you still got to live and you still got to exist. And for me, I just say, be you, the world will adjust, right? There's a whole lot of spaces that I have to be involved in that are not necessarily receptive to Black women, but my job or my calling or whatever it is that has me in that space says that this is where I'm supposed to be, and I ain't gonna let y'all bother me. So I think of you often when you did a competition in the whole nine. I think of you often because it was your smile, your eyes, your presence. I'm here, I'm worthy, I'm Black. This is it. This is what Black girl magic is. So talk to us a little bit about that journey.
So how I got to the stage at 36, I was 36 years old when I did my first fitness competition. And I was, for my height, I was really overweight. I was 193 pounds or something like that. I was too big to be 5'2", right? So they say, right. And I wasn't feeling good about myself. I didn't like what I saw in the mirror or anything like that. And the thing is with me is I never knew I weighed that much until, somebody told me. Cause I have muscles and the whole thing with muscles weigh more than fat, blah, blah, blah.
She was stacked, y'all. No, I don't want y'all to she was not the Pillsbury Doughboy. She was cute.
But 193 pounds at 5'2" at 36.
Hey, it's a number on the scale. You were still cute. I'm gonna find pictures of us from back then, because it's not like we were.
And see, that's the thing. It was again, okay. So to my point is, I wasn't as big as I thought I was, one. But the other thing also is we have this perception of who we think we're supposed to be or who we think that the world thinks we're supposed to be. But I did have a lot of self-esteem and body issues. So at 36, my best friend and I was like, we're going to do a competition. And we're going to do it in a bikini. Now, mind you, I got way too much booty and thighs to do bikini. I could have done figure, something like that, because those are like thicker girls or whatever at the time. But nonetheless, the thing was, it wasn't necessarily about the competition. It was for me to get on stage to overcome my own body issues, right? And I was so used to seeing myself at 190 something pounds. When I lost the weight, I got down. When I hit the stage, I was 145. And guess what? I still thought I was big. And
it's even in the journey, and you saying that, like you said, because it's in our mind, right? How you feel about you doesn't change with weight. It doesn't change when you have a boyfriend. It doesn't change when you get the new job. How you feel about you is kind of
ingrained,
right? It's a constant through life. And if you don't spend time loving that person and building that person up from the inside out. It don't matter how much weight you lose. It don't matter when you get that guy. It don't matter when you get that job. It don't matter when you get that salary. You driving your range or whatever, right? None of that
If you're not working on this in the process, because losing weight is multifaceted. The weight is the end result. You know what I mean? Like the weight coming off is the outcome, is the manifestation of all your hard work. That's the weight loss.
Yeah.
The work comes in. I've seen myself for 5 years as 190 something daggone pounds. At this point, I got the V line, like my body looked really good.
Dude, you were chiseled.
I did not know who that person was.
Exactly. You don't know how to love her because you ain't right.
I didn't know how to love her. I didn't know how to nourish that new body because I was just like, I'm still big. I was, such and such, I'm still big and blah, blah, blah. And 5 years later, I'm back up to 190 something pounds again, but I love myself a little bit more. And I just wish that I would have known better, or I wish that I could have loved her, that body, that person a little bit more and appreciate it. And the other thing is this, I don't think we really appreciate our bodies, regardless of weight or anything.
We don't know how. I was talking about this with another girlfriend because you're taught kind of at an early age when you get boobs and hips that you fast and don't let this one look at you or that. So we've never been.
We're responsible for other people's behavior, especially men.
We've never been allowed to accept our bodies in our space ever.
We weren't. And I think another thing with me having body insecurities is that exact point. We had to wear cover-ups. We wore like one-piece bikinis. We couldn't like run around with like a swimsuit on. You had to be covered, put on shorts, put on a t-shirt. Because I think the other thing is like the people of our generation made us responsible for other people's behavior.
For sure. Don't like,
you know what I mean?
It's so many rules that we still talk about and think about, now that you're like, how come you never checked that grown man? Like, why did you check me as a kid?
Why are you checking a 5-year-old who don't know nothing about
like there was other ways for that situation to be handled, but
clearly. So, but yeah, so that was one of the greatest things, I would say that was one of the most challenging mentally, physically, and emotionally things I had ever done before. Because when I hit the stage, I did feel good. And my sister was in the audience, like, that's my MF sister. Like, she was the best cheerleader ever. And I felt really good. I didn't stay 145 for a long period of time. I did not.
You can't, because it's not sustainable. Like
all the work it's not sustainable, Steph. I just didn't know how to. I can maintain 145. 145 is not big for my height. Like that's like an ideal size for me. So that's actually really obtainable. But I did not know how to nourish that new person. I didn't know how to nourish her. I didn't know.
Now your new body gets new attention.
Yeah,
like from men and women. So I'm not making it sexual at all, but you are presenting this outer shell is new. It's new to you. It's new to everybody too. So how do you nourish that? Like
exactly.
I looked at that journey from the outside as you taking a chance and being brave, doing something that you wanted to accomplish. And but then how do you? Because you could have 145 and still be sitting at home on your couch crying at night. So like what weight loss and the effort does what if I didn't nourish my brain? Like
that's it.
We don't spend enough time with ourselves, with our God, whoever you identify that to be. We don't spend enough time plugged into a source that gives us hope and encouragement, right? We fill our space with kind of honestly, and I'm gonna say it, like people that's not worthy. And I ain't talking about your inner circle, your friends and your family, but we spend a lot of time trying to fit in because we think if we fit in, then we'll fit. And then so now you got this new body, right? Same thing, like new circle, new friends. I've done it, but now that does require you, if you're gonna maintain it, it requires you to nourish a new environment. Because a lot of things that we learn in our 40s, for me too, a lot of things that we learn in our 40s is that the things in 30s and 20s can't come with us. Like, so that's some of them eating habits, that's some of them friendships, that's some, right? Like, everything is not meant to be permanent. There are some things that are just supposed to come across because you're supposed to learn a lesson and move on from it. It's
yeah,
not,
things are for seasons and reasons, baby. Seasons and reasons.
and that we try to hold on to stuff to make it permanent all the time, and it doesn't necessarily have to be. But
right.
I'm always encouraged by you. You know, you and I hit it off ASAP.
We did.
We were just right
like, you
away.
be
Like, hey, that's my person right there. She cool.
Right. You want to be
like,
in the room with me? Like,
right. Like, that's just like, and it's amazing because you know that there are some relationships that aren't going to be, you know, enduring. But I've always loved you, and I did not do a good job of sharing with you how inspirational you were to me because you helped me find my voice.
really?
We all got our own issues. We all got our own walks.
Wow.
And you know, I will give people the truth in a heartbeat. Like I told somebody the other day, to me, life is black and white. It ain't no gray areas. We make gray areas because we want to make it, right? The truth is still the truth. And that don't mean that it's sometimes it's gonna hurt your feelings, sometimes it's not. We don't have to be a hammer when we deliver stuff all of the time. But watching you embrace you taught me that I was okay to be me.
Absolutely.
And it's a lot of times just
I appreciate that, love. Thank you so much.
It's and you know, it's amazing because we don't as Black women, I'm with you, I love you, and I never told you that, right? I can sit next to you and put my head on your shoulder, but I never opened my mouth and was like, right now you giving me life, because you might not know what I'm going through. You might not know, right, what's on my heart, what's in my mind, what's in my household. But it took courage for you to say, whether you said it verbally, physically, mentally, it took courage for you to say this, I'm here. And 145, 192, I don't care about none of that. Yeah, because life is a journey. You know, it's a marathon. It's not a sprint. So there are things that that you learn in that season that you can carry through. But you have always been able to put words and passion to your blessings, your feelings, right? You always uplift people. You don't even know that. Like, you walk in a room and smile and everybody smiles. You're that person, right? Like, we don't pay attention to how other people see us because all we see is how we see us. So
and sometimes that ain't a pretty picture. I'm
saying, right? So you wake up, you running late, you had a bad day, eyeshadow crooked, earring, one in the car, one dude. Jordy used to eat graham crackers and pat me on the back before I left for work. I would have a graham cracker handprint on my shoulder, my butt, like everywhere. Nobody said nothing. So I'm looking a hot mess. I'm feeling a hot mess, right? And then that's not how people see me, right? Ain't nobody paying attention to the to the graham crackers.
Like, they know you got a kid.
But we don't know that. So like women, we don't share with each other the inspiration. You know, we don't share. I'm watching you in your journey, and it social media does something different than what I could tell you to your face. And I never shared that with you. Like, just sitting and having conversations with you changed my life because you let me know that I was okay to be me in my space. And I don't owe nobody an explanation for feeling good about me, right?
Right. Absolutely.
Like, no matter what,
100.
Being me, loving me, like, come on, man, self-esteem, that's what, like, that's me, right? Like, if I don't like me, I can't ask nobody else to like me.
That, whoo, girl, we can, like, how do I get out of here? How do I cut this off? Like, you can end on that note, baby, because, like, yo, you know, like, what did RuPaul used to say? If you don't love yourself, how the hell you gonna love anybody else?
Right? Like, I can't ask nobody to love me. I can't come look you in the face and say, you know, here's what I have to offer. Or even for a job interview, I look at, like, everything is, like, nowadays, it's kind of upsetting because I'm in this I won't call it vulnerable space. This is me. I'm in my me space, right?
Yeah,
so
hello.
I'm sharing my me with people and they giving me the representative. You can't ask somebody to care for you, to pray over you, to love you, and it ain't you. You ain't giving you.
Right.
What is this false version of yourself? And so I kind of feel like I'm always on a perpetual weight loss journey, right? Like, we were just talking about that beforehand, but so be it. Fat me, skinny me, middle-sized me, whatever. I'm starting to love me in all phases of that, because you know what? You're going to get this, whatever it is today, you're going to get all of it.
Right.
And it is me. So like owning ourselves, owning this space that we occupy right now. 2 months from now, I might be 10 pounds lighter. Great. I'm gonna own that too. But
Yes.
this outside is kind of irrelevant if inside is garbage. So from me to you, you not only are you a beautiful person inside, you're a beautiful person outside. We have to do a better job as sisters sharing those kind of uplifting messages with others, because we have the rest of our lives for somebody to say, she got an attitude, or she thinks she all that. You know what? I'm gonna start the next time somebody said it, I'm gonna be like, no, you think I'm all that. That's why you said it.
Right.
Right?
Hello.
Like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna give it back.
And that's why one thing that you like something that you just said, like we have, like the world can tell us, that we're not good enough. So one thing that my sister does and that I do with my niece is I try to uplift her about her skin, about her smartness. And I don't want to do like, oh, you're pretty in your hair, because I don't want her to think that the basis of who she is based off of her being pretty in her hair and her hair. So I like to say, J-Bug, you're so smart. You work really hard on it. You're a great artist, because the work, I want her when she's at an age, she's 12 now. So when she's about to be 12, she's at an age where she's very influenced. She's very, like
body conscious, getting ready to
all
become,
of that.
right, get
I
curves and hips. Yes.
I want to pour into her that you are enough, you are gorgeous with that, like your fro, if you straighten it, if whatever, you in this moment, you in this body that you're in is worth it. I try to pour into her as much as I can, if she returns my phone call, because she's 12 and she doesn't. But before the world is able to get a hold of her.
Yes.
Because I want her to be able to go into this world and take up space.
Yes. Yes.
We were taught, right. We were taught, don't take up too much space. Don't, be real cool, and not heard. Yeah. Don't just maintain a small space. Yes. And I just realized something the other day, because, talking about dating or whatever. And like young people, what I give young people respect for now is they take up space. They give zero damns about they take up space. And I respect them for that, because I didn't come into taking space until late 30s. I'm just going to say when I crossed over into my 40s, I'm being a complete 100% honest with you, because I was just like, I was thinking that, taking too much space, I didn't want nobody to, I didn't always want to be noticed. I didn't always want to be on the front lines or anything like that. I wanted to just be, skate on by. I didn't want to be seen and noticed kind of thing, but I respect them for that. And I want my nieces and my nephews and my godson to take up space unapologetically.
Yes. And I don't want them unapologetic. Own that space.
Right. And Jordy take up space, because my thing is, I don't want them to be 40 years old trying to figure out who in the heck they are.
Oh my gosh. And I just said that. So I was like, I mean, are we on the late end, or is it because we're learning it now, we got something to give back, right? Like,
oh my gosh, because Steph, my thing was learning how to take up space, but then also on this second journey of my life, at the end of this decade, I'm gonna be, what I want to say, but I respect your thing. I'll be 50 at the end of this damn decade.
Right.
And I just want to be, completely confident in who I am.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I think that's one good thing about being when I crossed over to the 40s stuff, I was like, oh, this, I was cool being 40, but the crossover, I'm in the 40s, that hit me a little differently, because I started to, the whole adage of, you gotta be married, you gotta have kids. When I crossed, I'm like, I'm trying to figure out, where do I exist in this space as a 42-year-old woman in this moment who's not married, who doesn't have kids? Because so much of our identity as women is based on our ability to have children and whom we're married to, you know what I mean? And I'm not that person. So where do I fit? My girlfriends, you guys are married, or you have kids, or you're married with kids, or you have kids, whatever it might be. I'm trying to get past the first daggone date. Man, and I'm just trying, where do I'm coming into a new identity. Like, who am I? Like, what? And plus the other thing is, how am I supposed to act at 42? Because the 42 I envision at 27 clearly is not it.
It's not the same.
I don't
At
look
all.
42. I don't act 42. I'm like, what
No.
are you supposed to be doing?
Seriously,
at
when we were in
42
our
years old?
20s and 30s, we thought 40s was like ancient. We thought that was like grandma, right? And now here we are,
Girl, yeah.
okay,
I was like, ooh, I'm
45,
the
look,
oldest person in the room now.
45 looks pretty good.
Yes.
But what I say now is if we knew what we know now at 25, dude, the world couldn't have handled us then, right? So clearly we getting this education and information at the right time for a reason, or at this time for a reason. But like you said, I was feeling a little cocky the other day, because I was like, we've been trapped up for 2 years. I ain't traveling. I love my travel. So
Yeah.
I was like, I'm supposed to take this trip to Antarctica, and it keeps getting bumped because of COVID or whatever. And I just had it in my mind, because my mom said something to me of the effect that, you're getting to an age, and you have a daughter, you're getting to an age where you might want to rearrange your priorities about your traveling. And I was like, no, because I have it set in my mind that I'm gonna put a foot on every continent before I leave this earth. Like,
yeah,
that's something I want to do, right? And I started asking my mom, like, what about your hopes and dreams? And then I realized my mom is 66. She's gonna be 67 this month. They put their hopes and dreams on hold, when they had kids. So the idea that you can be a mom and still have hopes and dreams outside of that, my mom's generation, my mom's generation doesn't understand that at all, So like, me and Jordy do experiments, we cook, we color, we paint, we do all of this stuff. And she's like, I'm really glad you can do your art stuff with her, because she was like, I was too busy worried about keeping the lights on, right? Like, and that's real talk. So you grew up in or I grew up in like survival mode. So like, now that you got $6 in the bank, it's food in the refrigerator. And quite frankly, if it wasn't no money in the bank, I got family that will help, right? There's a lot of people who you can't call on nobody. You don't have no village. So I got my village. And I was like, you know what? I'm gonna travel until I can't get on a plane no more. Like, they're gonna have to put me in a wheelchair. They like, but I'm still gonna do it. Like, that's something our generation does different. Like, and you and I, we pull no punches. I own this life. I only get one of them. Why I gotta live it by your rules when they don't apply to me and they don't fit? Why? Why am I looking at 1950 rules for what a woman can be, a Black woman can be, when those rules, they don't apply anymore?
They're very arbitrary.
I just said it the other day. I'm tired of trying to dim my light so that I can feel like I fit next to you, with you, in the same room as you. Like, my light is pretty bright. Like, either step yours up, step yours up, or go to another room if it blinds you, baby, because this is all I got.
Listen, Steph, I said this the other day, like, because I'm dating and stuff like that. And they always be like, men are intimidated by such and such, such and such. I said to myself, just what you said, I was like, I paid too much GD money to be educated to dim my light for somebody else's ego or self-esteem. Now, if you want me to dim my light, I need you to dim these dang on finances of the student loans.
You know what? I look at it like this.
You can dim that. You can, if you want to dim something, dim that.
It's a whole lot of independent women. So I have a problem. With people who say we're intimidating. We're not intimidating. You're just intimidated. Now, let's get to the core of why you're intimidated, right?
Right.
Because that really doesn't have anything to do with me. You were attracted to me for a reason. You wanted me in your space for a reason. So now, if you think that we're supposed to compare stats, that's not what a relationship is for me. Like, a man is still supposed to provide covering and protection and all of that kind of stuff. So if you feel like you can't do that because I'm a lawyer, or because I've been a single mother, or because, I stood up for myself in a marriage that wasn't working for me, you feel like I'm intimidating. I'm not your person. But in this space, in this lifetime, if it is women like us, then it is men for women like us. We just ain't found them yet.
I done told you I'm about to click out of here. How do I exit out? I'm about to power down, so baby. Power down.
The title of this podcast is gonna be, if you weak, don't bring it over here. Like, ain't nobody got time for that. We've been through some things, we've survived some things, and quite frankly, our men, like, I guess the options of men that we have sometimes, and maybe we picking low-hanging fruit. Like, I ain't gonna lie. right? Maybe we ain't reaching to the top of the tree to get that God that we claim we want. Maybe we were picking low-hanging fruit because he available and he, you know, we might be able to work him a little bit. The same reason these dudes pick low-hanging fruit. Don't get me started. But
Okay.
like, I'm tired of apologizing for who I am. You know, like, why should I? It made you like me. Now all of a sudden, the very thing you like about me is the same thing you don't like because you
Right, like you're blaming me for the
Nah, like I said, and I told the last dude, I said, baby, I'm magic. You better watch yourself. Like it's you gotta know what you're stepping into. If I'm magic, you're attracted to magic. That's not a bad thing. But you gotta come with something too.
That part. You gotta meet me where I'm at or take me to the next level. Like I don't do well with potential.
Now you can draft. Oh my gosh, a friend of mine just said that, but I love his potential. And I said, no, you love what you think you see, because you potential is what? Like 10, 15 years later, you think he gonna be at the level you want? No, ma'am. Like you can't date potential. You can't fall in love with potential. What's right in front of you is funky feet. He got 17 babies and 16 baby mamas. Like that's what's right in front of you. So the potential is he could be a good father, or he could be this, that, or the other. And I will never take that away from that man. Please be a good father. Please be a good husband. Please be. But like, we can't fall in love with potential. You can't date potential. You're not 40.
They're not doing that with us either. So like nah, I'm cool. I'm cool with that.
How do you stay grounded so that you can keep yourself, like you said, you pour into your niece. I know you do with your sister as well, but how do you stay grounded for you? Like when you feel like the world is becoming too much and it's just a little overwhelming, how do you get back to your center? Because you do a lot with young people and pour into other people with mental health issues and social work and that kind of thing. I know that becomes taxing and draining.
Yeah.
So how do you re-up?
For me, like one thing I've learned as getting older, you know how we used to be like, I gotta have all these friends. My circle is small.
Oh, so small.
My circle is small. Like I'm all about quality, not quantity. Like when I needed you the other day, I'm like, yo, Steph, such and such happened. You was like, boom, 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 da 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 da. You know what I mean? Like I have friends that I can talk to every day, and I have friends that if I haven't talked to you, whatever, we can pick up like we ain't missed a beat. You know what I mean? But we always are in the background for each other, rooting each other on. You know what I'm saying? So I keep that circle protected and small. And I've learned to reach out when I'm not doing well. And
that's powerful right there, because how many times do you sit in silence and suffer because you ashamed to share whatever's going on?
I no longer, I'm like, listen, I feel myself slipping. I think, you know, especially with like the seasons changing, depression and things like that. I'm like, yo, I need to do, I crochet now. So I crochet to keep my anxiety.
I'm gonna need you to make me a sweater.
Please, got you. Say less. So like I crochet to kind of like keep me centered and get my anxiety down. And I dance. And moving to Charlotte, I've joined a Black cyclist club.
Okay.
And they ride like, and I'm not like I'm clearly not a professional. So I
no, because you did Black Girls Run. That's where
I used to run in Ohio.
Yes,
exactly. So one of my girlfriends, she was buying a new bike in LA. And she gifted me her old bike, but the bike was like a bad bike. Oh God, the bike was good. And I was like, you're gonna give this to me?
Right. What am I doing with this?
Right. And I that's the bike I ride to this day. It's a daggone good bike. So I try to dance. I try to find a dance class wherever I am. I still try to work out. I still try to do martial arts if and when my knees allow me. I stay connected to my friends, and I really now that I'm back in Charlotte, I go home a lot. My sister was like, I just saw you the other day. No, you didn't. She was like, you were just here like last month. I was
pretty sure that was last week.
You're like, you're right. So I love that because my dad passed away. So my mom is by herself now. I love that I can get home in 6.5 hours if I just want to like, I road trip too. I say that. Like being on a road by myself helps center me.
Yeah. Because it takes you away from everything, right? Right. Yeah.
You gotta focus when you're driving, honey, because it's just you. So you gotta be, So those are some things that I do to pour back into myself. And one thing that I always used to do was my chanting and my meditations. Like I was really, really devoted to my Buddhist practice, and I need to get back into that, because when I'm doing all those things in addition to my Buddhist practice, I'm a bad motor scooter.
I
Like
know, right?
You can't
Ain't
muck
nothing
with
you
me.
can't
Like you
do.
can't. So those are some of the things, Steph, that I do to pour into myself. Like I'm on my work. I'm when I'm on it, I'm on my workout game. I'm on food prep. I'm on all that, and I feel really, really good and centered. Yeah. So that's where I want to get back to, or that's how I pour into myself.
I think the one thing that I am, while we're in this space of owning where we are and learning ourselves and accepting new information when it comes. And I feel like it's a lesson until you pass it. It's a test until you pass it. So you're going to keep getting the same test until you pass it, right? So I find myself actually passing, right? So I'm excited for what the next thing is, because I'm like, oh, seen that before. Nope, I know not to go there. Nope, ain't got to do that. Yeah. Right? I'm starting to get it. But I know for me, the next part in my journey, I apologize a lot. I excuse, walking down the street, it's enough room for everybody, but I excuse myself and move over. I'm gonna stop doing that. And I'm gonna stop, like, not like you said, owning little space. Like, why do I have to move all the time? Right? Like, or
I did that the other day.
I'm saying, because I realize I'm teaching it to Jordan. I'm teaching her to remove herself. Why? Like, why can't you look me in the face and we both, move a little to the side and say, excuse me? I've always done that. So I feel like why am I apologizing? Makes us
feel inferior and them superior. Like, oh, they'll move. They know, right. They know what's up.
Why am I apologizing for my existence? And the other thing I said was,
girl, if you don't preach a word.
Man, and I say, oh, well, I'm sorry, such and such and such. Like, I'm sorry I'm late. Or, so now I'm learning this. Instead of saying, I'm sorry I'm late, thank you for waiting.
Thank you for waiting. Yes, girl, I got that one too. Yeah.
I'm learning, because it's, know what, Chad, it's amazing how much, like, I people always tell me children are tape recorders and everything, but I'm realizing, like, everything I put out, whether it's positive, negative, this child is picking it up, like, and she repeats things in the right context, in a different audience, and I'm just like, oh,
you're her first insight to what this world is.
She gets it, like, and I had I told you, I had a couple people pass away in my family, and I just had a moment. I said, and I asked her, I said, you ever feel like you just want to sit down and cry? And she was like, yeah. And I said, well, that's how mom feels right now. So I sat down literally at the top of my stairs. I just sat down and I just let it go, because I've been holding it, because you got to be strong, because I wasn't sure about how I was supposed to show her that I was hurting and, things were happening, but I couldn't hold it anymore. So I cried, and she sat next to me. And she said, Mom, just breathe. And then she gave me a hug. And I said, well, where did you get that from? She said, that's what you do when I cry. And I was just like,
cried even more.
Like, because look at you, right? You're present,
her model.
You are cognizant, you are learning, you are capable of giving and receiving love. You are this whole person. Like, we act like children are, oh, you can heat up your own grilled cheese, knock yourself out, right? Like, they're supposed to take care of themselves after a minute. Like, no, I have to make this a whole person, not a mini Stephanie either, but a whole person that can function on her own. And the fact that she was just in tune enough to, give me a hug and it'll be okay, Mom. And I was just like, who are you? And she's like, I'm your daughter, Mom. Like, it's those moments where I'm like, I'm gonna stop apologizing. I'm gonna stop saying right, sorry, and moving myself. And I'm gonna if we're still here, it's for a reason. There is an everyday presence and power that you provide to this world that nobody else can provide. Like Chaz, Stephanie, right? Jordan in her space. So I'm gonna stop apologizing for existing. I'm gonna stop apologizing for having feelings about a thing, whether you liked it or not. And the lawyer in me, I'm required to hear people's information about their case or whatever facts they call themselves wanting to give you. And I got to weed through all of that and find the truth, right? Like, but I'm gonna start saying, well, now that's not the truth, right?
Right.
Like, normally I should be sitting there like, you just take notes and you decipher and you get to what you got to get to. But I do that in my everyday life. And I'm gonna start telling people, that wasn't right. That wasn't true. You lying, or you could have done better. Like, Because if we're never accountable for anything, the only
Yeah.
person I can change on this planet is myself. I
Right.
can't change you. So if you gonna lie to
Right.
me about something you got going on, then I
Yeah.
can't give you encouragement or advice to fix you. I can only fix
Right.
me. And so when I'm gonna fix this chest, I ain't about to hear that from you because that don't sound right. Like I'm working on me. And if I can't accept or feel your growth in a certain space, then the circle gonna get smaller because this whole person
Baby.
that's watching me cannot see, right? Another like there's it ain't gray. It's black and white. Like it ain't no gray area in how we supposed to do this. So I don't know. Like I hope in some small way, like we manage to consistently encourage our young people because our young
Yeah.
girls, if we don't pass torches, I don't know what they're gonna
Yeah.
pick up. So
Woo! Like, listen, now that I'm in the schools, like I'm in a middle school, right? I'm in a K-8, and then I'm also in a 6-8, like a middle school. And I get nervous sometimes, Steph, because I'm like, who I feel like with social media, with everything, there's an abundance of information, and a lot of our kids are taking in that information overwhelmingly, and they don't cognitively, they can't process it all, and it's causing them to like act out and things like that.
and
So
the information that they get access to is one-sided. You got to be a
yes,
size
like
2.
kids
Your
have a hard,
eyelashes got to look like camels. You got to draw your
yes,
eyebrows on.
right,
The natural hair to grow out your head ain't good enough no more, right?
yes, and
All
they,
of this, and just
and
because
they,
you said it, like I can acknowledge, like the new music throws me off, but I pay a little bit of attention enough because I got little people around me too. These girls are acknowledging that they had, lipo at 25, but the your niece ain't got the lipo part. You just see that her waist is this big, her hips are this, right? Like what we are feeding, spoon feeding
yeah,
our kids through social media, and all of that kind of stuff. It's not
and
even a realistic.
there's not a deciphering factor, and a
Ain't no
lot of our
truth to
young
it.
kids, huh?
It ain't no truth to it. You putting
Right,
out
and that's what I'm
augmented
saying. Like
bodies,
kids can't
right?
decipher between what's on Instagram versus reality. Because if you look at somebody's making like the behind the scenes of a post or whatever it might be, like people are using other people's houses, or people are like just taking pictures by other people's cars. It's like it's not what you
It's
think
not
the
real,
dish
right?
is. It's not
Or I'm gonna do you
real.
one better. They telling
So
you like they living in the big 8-bedroom house over here, and it's rented in somebody else's name. The car ain't theirs. It's on a lease. Like people are living their best life, and it's a lie. And then these kids are trying to emulate that,
yep,
and we're missing. Like you said, you've been in your field for 24 years. Dude, I've been grinding it out as a lawyer for over a decade. These kids are missing the work. You don't see that. You see the end result. You don't see the years we spent in school getting degrees. You don't see the days you in the gym riding it, right?
yeah,
You skipped over all of that and you just assume, oh, her life look easy. Let me do that. Like
exactly.
everybody ain't
Somebody said it was a quote about Usain Bolt. They said that dude trained for 20 years to run 9.67
right.
seconds.
And y'all missed the 20 years. You thinking
Yeah,
he the
all you see
fastest,
is
like
he
he was
ran it.
just
Like he
born
didn't wake
fast.
up running 9.67
Right.
or
Like,
whatever he ran. You know what I mean? Like he didn't wake up running that. So all you see is the end result. You don't
right.
see the journey
Right.
of Simone Biles falling. You don't see the journey of Serena Williams, taking a break or, breaking records. You don't see that journey. You just see the end. You just see a lot of our kids think like, oh, they came out just Serena Williams.
Right.
They
Right.
forget that Beyonce wasn't always Beyonce. Beyonce was somebody on a red carpet trying to interview Aaliyah. Like you don't see that. You just see
You
who she
don't,
is
yes,
now.
you're absolutely
And,
right. They don't get to see the work. See, and I think
right.
that's the difference. That's where we are in our 40s because we put the work in for 20
Right.
years, right? So these younger girls whose moms are younger than us, right?
Mm-hmm.
The apple will never fall far from the tree. I don't care what nobody say, but the reality
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
is if they don't see the work at home, then they come to school and they see it in you. Like, so you're gonna
Mm-hmm.
see the work somewhere, but then it becomes, once I know better, I do better. That's what I always
Mm-hmm.
say. The reality is a lot of these people now think doing better is too hard. So now I'm just gonna cheat.
Right.
Right? I'm
That
gonna get there the
or
quickest
doing
way
better
possible.
means equates to some sort of money. Like if I have money, that means I'm successful. Like, nah,
No,
baby,
it doesn't.
that's not it. That's not it. And like you said, I think that was a really good point that you just made. Like doing better is too hard, so people cheat. Cheating's even harder because cheating's even harder.
It is
'Cause you
like
can't.
it, and I'm gonna be honest, you gotta be smart to cheat, right? Like it's plenty of people that thought they was gonna go 0 to 10 real quick and they messed up at 3 and now they in jail
You know
doing
what?
3 to 10, right? So I don't know. The idea that we have to have everything at a microwave level is so frustrating
Yeah,
because
it's detrimental as well
it's
to
mentally, physically. I
physically.
mean,
Yep.
we talk about this pipeline to prison all the time, but the fact that I graduated from high school, and I'd be like, and now what? Like you keep talking to me like you have arrived because you graduated. Don't get me wrong. I'm proud of your accomplishment. There's plenty of people who didn't complete it, but I'm always like, and now how we gonna level up? Elevate your hustle. A high school diploma ain't gonna do nothing for you this year. Sorry. And
Unless you come up with some grand idea that can, you,
you
that
can
you
play
don't have.
video
I
games and
don't
that
know.
little boy, like that little boy on YouTube that made millions of dollars playing video games. But the reality is, like, people see stuff like that and use him as an example. I can be a millionaire and be 7. No, he could. You can't, right? Like you're gonna have to earn your millions the regular
But my
way,
thing,
like
what
the
people
rest
don't
of us.
understand about him is he's still a kid.
Right,
He's not a
right.
grown adult. Like he still has to live life.
And he
And
still got to
if
go to
his
school,
right,
right? Like
if his parents, because that his parents are managing that money. If his parents manage that money well, he could be set for the rest of his life. However, if they don't, that little boy is screwed.
what about the fact that we equate so much of our self-worth and happiness to a dollar? Like
Because
when
that's
I
what we've
said
been shown.
my mom grew
Everything,
up like
yeah.
on survival mode. We was on the struggle bus. Like and we didn't go hungry, right? We didn't go without food. I didn't know we were poor. I'll be honest.
Right.
I didn't know because there was nothing I wanted that I couldn't have. And now how she got it, that might be right. That's the part of a kid to a parent that I don't know. Like she
Right.
might have got it from my mom was the youngest of 11. So she could have got it from one of my aunts or uncles. She could have got it from her parents. I don't know. But you learn the value of a dollar, and now these kids just assume, well, I graduated from high school and I can go to the NFL, or I can make an app and sell it to Apple and do like all of these bizarre ideas that I hear from these kids. And I'm like, it's not to say that you can't do that, but it's a 1 in a million chance, right? And when you're not that 1 in a million, now you have no motivation, no other ideas, no hope. Like, I don't know. Like we're not preparing our babies to be
Well, and
contributors.
the thing with technology nowadays and what I'm seeing with these kids is being able to sell an app is really absolutely real to them. Like, can they actually? They can. And I think something I saw, I think Iman Shepherd, he said, one thing that we don't do or that we need to start doing, like we need to gas up our kids. Like if they say they want to do something, but I think like you said, it's like there has to be a healthy balance. Like, can you do this? Absolutely.
Yes.
Go forward and
Right.
prosper. However, in
If you
addition to
don't get there,
this, if it doesn't turn out the way you envisioned it, okay, let's go back to the drawing board. Let's do it again. Like I like the fact that Iman Shepherd was like, I gassed my kids up. I let them know, hell yeah, go do it, go do it, go do it. But then also you're their safety net.
I was about to say, you got the money to back them up though.
Right. Well, yeah, but even if you don't, I think that emotional stability of if they try to shoot that 3-pointer, if they tried to develop that app and it didn't go as planned, they look at you and you're like, good job. Cool.
Yeah. And
they
try
don't see the
again.
look
Let's try something else.
Exactly. They don't see the look of, I told you, but you couldn't do that and da 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 da. So that will encourage them to continue to seek out more, to do more instead of shooting. If we continue to shoot down our kids' dreams, of course they're not going to be like, well, nobody believes I can do it anyway, so I'm not going to do it.
I don't want to shoot down our kids' dreams. What I want to encourage is that you dream to be more than a rapper or a basketball player. That's what I mean, right? Like there's a whole umbrella of stuff.
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, practice playing basketball, practice playing football, practice playing piano. You might be the best entertainer, football player, basketball player, baseball player, whatever that there is. But if by chance, right, you take your shot to go play baseball and it doesn't work out, now what? So if we prepare you earlier on to be a
Yes.
baseball player and an electrician and an engineer, right? You got something to fall, that it's that. Like, so I don't never want to say, oh darn it, I told you wasn't gonna make it. What I'd like to say is, like, right, be a baseball player, architect, engineer, carpenter, do it all.
Jordy will be a
singing, cooking doctor. like I don't know, like, don't put all your eggs in one basket. I want our children to have hope, but I also, like, I don't want the hope to be in money all the time. Everything is so focused on.
You want it to be realistic, because for our kids, I hate saying this, but like for our kids, they play a different ball game than everybody else. They do. Not that it's fair.
Different territory. And it just so happens, like, your nieces and nephews have a powerful auntie, so they know better. Jordan has an educated mother and father, so we know better, right? In theory, we can tell them something different, but if we don't start, it's not just her. Like, I say this all the time: if I'm succeeding and a million other Black people ain't, I ain't succeeding. Right. It ain't. If I can't bring all of y'all along, it don't do me no good to just be in one position. Like, I mean, that's what I'm talking about, passing the torch. If we're not talking about for the masses, like, me and Chaz doing great, right? Like, okay, so we got our work cut out for us.
I think we do. And when I'm looking at the kids in our school, it's just like, I just get so worried, because I'm like, who is pouring into them when teachers aren't around, or like when they go home? Like, I'm sure, like, they got parents and stuff like that, but I also want to know, like, in addition to their parental support, who's pouring into these kids, who's keeping our kids on, like, on the right track and things like that. Because our kids got great potential, but the fact that our kids have been isolated, I said this, and I'm being very clear about it, we're going to see the residual effects of this 1 to 2 years of isolation and COVID for years to come. Our kids aren't able to communicate. We were already so connectedly disconnected, if that makes any kind of sense. Like,
I can sit in front of you and text or send you a message on Facebook, but I can't have a conversation with you.
Like, one of my kids wants to see me because they don't know how to talk to people. Like, that's legit. Their concern is how to socialize. A lot of our kids don't know how to interact. And like, when I'm doing therapy with kids now, and they say, oh yeah, my friends, I have to ask kids now, are these your friends in real life, or are these your friends
on Facebook? Right.
Like, have you met them? Like, a lot of kids like, well, maybe my friends are online. Like, our kids they don't have connections like that. They have a very limited definition of what a friend is. They have limited communication because everything is text, group chats. Like, people aren't really having conversations. And those are some of the small things that worry me. Like, our kids are resilient. Like, they went from being in school to online. They made that transition. We didn't make that transition well.
No.
And some kids did struggle and things like that, but our kids are resilient in that sense. But I do also worry that, sometimes they might be growing up a little too fast with so much access that, that we have nowadays. So I do get a little worried.
You said growing up fast. It's growing up fast in one area and not all areas, right? Like, the inability to have social interactions and be able to hug people and handshake. Like, I taught a class a little while back, and my introduction to these girls, because everybody got they eyes on their feet. And I'm talking, right?
Everybody have a humpback when they get older.
Everybody got their head down, and so finally, like, I look up and I was like, we don't look people in the face anymore. Like, what is this about? So I stopped everything, and I was like, how about we introduce ourselves? I made them look me in the face, learn how to give a handshake. And you can't handshake and look down and all, like, because Facebook ain't fostering self-esteem. Neither is your group chat. Right. And the other thing that is so, like, in my 40s, this became so more apparent to me than it would have been in my 30s or my 20s. Regardless of how big your circle is, everybody in your circle ain't rooting for you. you got a hater amongst you and you don't know it until, right, the chips fall and then you find out the hard way. But you don't
Yep.
know that because it's a group chat and you don't realize the same people you group chatting with over here talking to them each other about you, you know, outside of the text or
Yep.
whatever, for whatever reason. And somebody made this point to me the other day. When we're all right here, everybody is achieving at the same level. It ain't no reason to hate. But let one of y'all take off and the rest of y'all still were, it's gonna be a bunch of haters that you didn't realize you had. You can't teach that on Facebook or texting. Like, you
Yeah.
have to sit amongst young boys and young girls and actually explain to them, right? You think somebody asking you how much your shoes cost because they're impressed. No, right? Because they, oh, he think he good because he can spend. So it's that. And then
Yeah.
we have lost our ability to build each other up because everything is about what you have versus what I have. Like, we compare ourselves instead of us working on our
Woo.
own temples and trying to be better for
Yeah.
ourselves, for, right? We so busy looking at such and such's house or such and such's car. And like, you miss, even if it's on Instagram or Facebook for these kids, y'all hopes and dreams are to have a big house, a fancy car, a swimming pool, and all, but you forgetting, like, you don't even look at how you can effectively earn those things.
Right.
Right.
But
What
then I
type of
think that
salary
also
do you have to make to earn that? Go ahead.
right. I think the message also gets blurred because in our society, there's so much precedence, there's so much notoriety put on clothes, shoes, cars. You got that good looking dude, the good looking girl, whatever it might be. There's so much value put on those types of things. So when kids are growing up, they think that's what they think
That's
that's
how
what
you make it.
success
Yeah.
is you have all these kids. I thought that too, but then I realized, why am I a homeowner? I haven't been in the same state in so many damn years. Like, why would I want to be a homeowner? You know what I mean? Like, sometimes we have to redefine what that American dream is for ourselves, because first of all, they didn't tell us that stuff was going to be on loan and
Forever.
highly overly percentage rated, you know what I mean? So I think we have to develop certain things on our own terms and definitions. Like, we got to define life on our own terms, because defining it on what societal norms are or what we've been conditioned to believe that we're supposed to be doing, nah, you're setting yourself up for failure if that's what you're doing.
Because the, like you said, if I don't even know what age we started to teach this. Probably like middle school, before high school. But like, your dreams look different, like they're individual. Your dreams shouldn't look like, I can't dream for Stephanie what Chaz wants for her life, right?
Yeah.
So me comparing myself to you or where you are or what you have, you don't have the same dreams, right?
Right.
So
Right.
my dreams might take me 8 years worth of school, or
Yeah.
right, like me, I had a friend that just started a urban garden here, like, right, people was laughing at him when he was buying land, you know, in the hood and demolishing these houses. Now he's got this great space, like, but it took him years to put it together. Or like Noah
Yeah.
building the ark, you know, everybody's looking at him like, bruh, it is not raining. Like, you're gonna have to do your work to fulfill your dreams. You can't look at, yeah, you can't look at somebody else's dreams or life goals and then try to emulate that for yourself, because it won't fit.
Right, because it's not your, like you said, my friend told me once before, he was like, everybody's talking about, the grass is greener on the other side. He was like, water your own damn grass.
Right. The grass is
You know,
greener on your grass if you water it, if you spending
right.
your
And
time
you
staring
nourish
over the
it.
fence.
Yes.
Like, if you actually manage your own house, your own relationships, your own body, your own mental status, your workouts, your work schedule, your work ethic, you ain't got time to be looking at nobody else's grass. Like, I don't know how we get that message to our babies either, but I
Yeah.
think that, I don't know. I'm hoping in the grand scheme of things in life, we putting things out in the universe, like you said, so people
Yeah. I
hear,
think
because
consistency, being consistent, showing up, I think is
doing what you
ideal.
say you're gonna do. Like you said, if I tell
Follow
you,
through.
Chaz,
Yeah.
let me borrow $5 and I got it for you tomorrow, give it back tomorrow, because that's what you said you were gonna do. If you knew when
Right.
you was borrowing it you wasn't gonna have it for 15 days, say that, right? Stuff like that though. Like, if you are not going to hold yourself accountable, these young people are not. That's what they're going to learn, right?
Yeah.
Oh, you can say
Agreed.
one thing and do another. That's normal. That's just how it's
Mm-hmm.
done. It's not. It's not. Be a man and woman of your word.
Yes. Agreed.
All right.
Agreed.
I will ask for you. Normally I pray us out, but I'm gonna ask for you to give us a chant on the way out, and then we're gonna end
Oh,
our
I was the
discussion.
trend. Okay, we can do like it's Nam Yoho Renge Kyo, roll the R, and I'll just do it for a few seconds. Well, you got a timer over there, Steph?
Yeah, how long you need to do it?
I can just do a few. I can just do Sancho with it's just 3 chants.
Okay.
So that's Sancho, like before you go to your altar and stuff like
It's
that.
all you.
All right, here we go. Nam Yoho Renge Kyo, Nam Yoho Renge Kyo, Nam Yoho Renge Kyo.
Thank you so much for joining
Thanks for
us.
that. This
Thank
is
you
so
for
good.
sharing with us. I loved it. I'm so very proud of you and your success and where you are. And I love your energy. And I'm just always happy to be able to share space with you.
Girl, same. I love you. We picked up like we were just together like 2 days ago. I love that about you. Yeah, I love you. Congrats on the podcast. Thanks for having your girl on.
Definitely.
So excited
Thanks
for
joining
you.
us for Get Out of the Boat.
Yes, girl. I love you, mama. Thank you